Get up and go. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Light of the love that you found. Nice. Cookmaster Cliff making up for his terrible takes all morning with great music.
Wow.
We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
Cliff, for crying out loud!
You've been a thorn in my side today, my friend, but I still love you. Golic and Wingo reminding you that the NBA Western Conference Finals, as well as every playoff game going forward, are on ESPN Radio. Tune in for Game 2 tonight as James Harden and the Rockets host Kevin Durant and the Warriors. Presented by Indeed. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. Eastern on most ESPN radio stations. Mike Golic, Trey Wingo here. Amin Elhassan, our ESPN NBA front office insider, is here. Joins us giving us a Straight Talk. Brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. By the way, we are actively, openly recruiting you away from the Levitard Show. Yeah. We're not pretending. We're not hiding. We want you to be on our team for Family Feud.
Which is amazing because right before you walked in the door at the start of the segment, Trey was talking about banning you from the show because you were going to be late.
Not true at all.
I mean, I don't know what to say.
That is not true at all.
Hey, Coach, when they whistled, I was there. I was in uniform, and I was ready to go.
I agree that it hadn't started. You hadn't been saying, but Trey was ready to ban you.
That's not true in any way. But you know what? You are our star. You are our Marvin Barnes. Okay, Marvin Barnes, great player at the ABA.
Time machine.
My man ain't getting on no time machine when I play backwards. But he showed up and said, game time is on time. And I mean, that's it. When the whistle blew, that's all that matters. Got a lot to get to.
Yeah, we do.
First and foremost, the most important question of the day.
Laurel.
Oh.
What do you hear?
Okay, so I heard this yesterday.
Yeah.
All I heard was Laurel. And as try as I might, and then someone said, well, they posted a video where they changed the bass on it, and then you can hear it switch from
Laurel to Yanni.
I never heard Yanni.
See, I've never heard Laurel.
He's never heard Laurel.
The closest I've heard is Gary, but there's still a very hard R in there, Laurel.
So you have only heard Laurel. You have only heard Yanni.
I've only heard Yanni.
I've heard them both.
I want to know how you heard them.
Thank you. That's the weird one, right?
I listened on my phone yesterday, heard Laurel. When I got up this morning to come in, Mike, my son, was doing first and last, and he played it.
Right.
And I heard it now, listening to a show. I heard Yanni.
Whoa, wait. Mike Golic Jr. is your son?
Yeah, he is.
I did not know that.
Well, he is.
Did you guys go to Notre Dame?
No.
You guys never talk about that.
We don't need to go too much into our private life. I don't like bringing things up like that.
Okay.
But I've heard them both.
That's wild.
I don't understand why. And I don't understand. Cliff literally gets mad if you don't hear what he heard. I don't know why people get mad. But he gets mad at people for it.
Remember the blue and black dress?
Exactly.
Yes, that's exactly what
blue and gold or white dress.
White and gold, blue and black.
I saw blue.
I saw blue too. I never saw white.
Right.
You hear what you hear. I just don't hear an L at all in any way, shape, or form. Then again, I went 50% deaf when I was a kid, so that's a separate discussion entirely we could have. We got a lot to get into besides, the ridiculous
Laurel.
debate, so let's do it. We're wasting your time at this point. And everybody listening and watching. Barring a trade, the Phoenix Suns will be the guys with the first pick in the NBA draft for the first time in franchise history. Thus, the trend holds, Mike, the fourth straight year the team with the best odds to get the number one overall pick gets the pick.
Yeah, they are number one. It was really the Kings that beat the odds. They had a 5.3% chance of getting in that second slot, and that's exactly what they did. They got in the second slot. The Atlanta Hawks got in the third slot. Again, the most odd thing last night was the three last teams there and their representatives, De'Aaron Fox from Sacramento, Josh Jackson from Phoenix, and Jamie Gertz, the actress, for the Atlanta Hawks.
Did that throw you at all?
You know how many texts I got from people that, is that
Jamie Gertz?
Yeah. Jamie Gertz from, what is that? Not The Outsiders. What was the movie she was in?
She was in a
bunch of those 80s movies.
Lost Boys.
Yeah.
She was in that Kevin Bacon movie where he was a bicycling messenger in the 80s in New York City. She was also in Twister.
Twister, there you go.
Yeah,
Twister.
I mean,
Twister and the Lost Boys are the two that I remember.
That was Lost Boys, a very good 80s movie, by the way.
For you, guy used to be in the front office in Phoenix, who's your number one pick?
I don't think this is a year where you could say, oh, he's the guy.
Right.
I think there's really two guys in play and then the third kind of behind the way. I think it's between DeAndre Ayton,
right?
Pick and pop. He's a modern big, right? He can pick and pop, but he also can dunk on you. He's very athletic. He can play out in space. You got Luka Doncic, who's just a tremendous passer.
6'8", right?
A 6'8" point guard, for lack of a better description. Really smart, and then at his age has competed against grown men since he was 15, 16 years old. And then kind of behind those two, I got Marvin Bagley, just solid, productive, excellent finisher, excellent rebounder, great energy guy.
Yeah.
And then all three of them have a tie to Phoenix, right?
Right.
Ayton went to Arizona, which is down to Tucson, down an hour and a half down. Doncic obviously was coached by Igor Kokoshkov and the Slovenian national team that won the European Championship.
Right.
And then Bagley's
he's from Tempe, right?
He's from Tempe, Arizona.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. This is where, the dividers become the interview, the measurables, the psych testing.
So who would you pick? I
look at the Suns and what they need, and they're one of the worst passing teams. They're one of the worst teams at sharing the ball. I think Doncic opens that game up for him. I love Ayton, and they have a massive hole up front, but I think getting an athlete nowadays, a 6'10" athlete who can shoot, is a lot harder than getting someone who can pass. Yeah. Passers are at a premium, and when I look at the Golden State Warriors, one of the things I feel like no one ever talks about, that's why I beat the drum on them so hard, is they have so many plus passers. Mm-hmm. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala, David West, Kevin Durant. That's what makes them really hard. It's not that, they've got all these shooters, which is great, but they've got multiple guys who can get the ball to the shooters, and that's a hard thing to find and replicate.
All right, so you're going Doncic. I mean, just making sure we got this. We're pinning you down for all time. You're going Doncic.
He went three directions.
There we go. But we got him. Meanwhile, you can feel a little bad for Robinson Cano, and then you realize he's making $1 gazillion. Yeah. He got put on the DL with a broken hand on Monday, and then he got popped for PEDs, or the appeal was dropped. Right. The appeal was dropped. Let's be honest about that. He's going to miss 80 games. And I think it's important to understand the way the Major League Baseball thing goes is that he was popped for a masking agent, but the process is Major League Baseball says, okay, we found the masking agent. Now we have to prove that you used it to mask a steroid, and they had the proof. And so that's why he decided to drop his appeal.
Yeah, again, he was appealing this. It wasn't a PED tested positive for. It was a masking agent, a diuretic, kind of water your system down a little bit to dilute it. And he was appealing it until he was hit with some info that basically
you don't want to do this.
Basically changed his mind.
Yeah, you might want to reconsider.
$24 million. He's making this year down to $12 million after missing 80 games. Ouch.
Oh, man.
Absolutely ouch. But he was very emphatic to say he has never taken a PED, and that may be for the voting crowd years down the road when he's up for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Listen, we always say that the cheaters are going to be ahead of the testers all the time. When you were in the front office in Phoenix, is that the way you sort of felt when you had to do these things? You realize that we're trying to get somewhere, but we know the guys that are perfecting the craft are 3 steps ahead of us?
Yeah, it's funny because obviously that's handled on a league level that the teams individually don't test, right? And for me, I think when I worked for a team, I was very naive and ignorant almost because we always had this, steroids don't help. Basketball, it helps the strength guys, power hitters, and football players, but there are no drugs in our sports. And then I can't remember who said it to me, but someone said, do you really think that every single sport on the face of the earth, from cycling to rowing to just running, all of them found use for PEDs, but somehow basketball is the one pure sport that missed it? And when you put it like that, logically, I've never seen anything to indicate that someone's using, but just logic dictates there's no way that we're the only pure sport.
Correct.
And literally every single other sport has gone through this.
Yeah.
You will always find a drug that will give you an edge, legal or illegal, and you will always find players that will try it.
Yes.
That will never end.
Look, you can say what you want about his legacy, but at the end of the day, he's got how many years left on that contract?
5 years, and
$120 million.
He's not getting 12 of it.
5 years, $108 million.
He's going to do okay for himself. Yeah.
I mean, yes, that's bad, but you know what? It's not horrible. And we got there just in time for the buzzer. Meanwhile, of course, we all know what Central Florida did, claiming their national championship. They gave themselves a parade, and they handed out championship rings to recognize their undefeated season. But Alabama coach Nick Saban, actually, we thought handled this as well as he could because he was asked the question. It's not like he wanted to dive into the conversation.
Yeah.
He was asked the question, and he thought he handled it pretty well.
He said about, UCF declaring itself the national championships. Again, they had a parade. The Players' National Championship rings made up to recognize the undefeated season. Saban said, I guess anybody has the prerogative to claim anything, but self-proclaimed is not the same as actually earning it. And there's probably a significant number of people who don't respect people who make self-proclaimed sort of accolades for themselves. Wow. I'm not going to lie. I thought the UCF thing was pretty cool in the beginning, and I think it got ridiculous. I think they're not national champs.
I'm all in.
They can do all they want and say, but they're not the national champions. They're the only undefeated team this year.
Yep.
I get it, but they're not the national champs. It started to go a little bit overboard for me.
To me, use whatever you got to make yourselves more prominent.
The coaches were happy because they all got the bonuses for being the national title champs.
But what they've done, which is brilliant, is they're keeping themselves in the national conversation. Yeah. That's the most important thing for a team like UCF, who has a tough time scheduling the bigger schools because the bigger schools like, what's the win for us here?
Right.
So I think that's what's brilliant about this entire thing, the strategery of it all.
Yeah, because, it's funny, college football, obviously, there's one champion that's crowned at the end, but college sports is kind of one of those things where you don't have to win it all, quote unquote. You just have to be really good.
Stay relevant.
So that you can keep this thing going, keep getting recruits and keep being relevant and selling sponsorships, et cetera, et cetera.
And that's why I think look, I don't think they're the national champions either, but go all in, guys. Do what you got to do to keep. We're not having this conversation if they haven't done anything.
Right. And also, I turned on them, though, after they turned down the very gracious request from the Dan Le Batard show. They had a trophy made out for these people.
They did.
T-shirts.
They
wanted to do the
They
rally.
didn't want to go that far.
Yeah.
But they want to go all these other?
Yeah,
that seems a little
I'm out on them.
There you go. All right. ESPN NBA front office insider Amin Elhassan is here with us, and Golic and Wingo presented by 1-800-Flowers.com. Life special events call for a beautiful bouquet from 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, when you order a dozen Gabura daisies for only $29.99, you get a free vase. For details, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. So I guess the question becomes, should we be sending flowers to the Cavs saying, hey, it was a good run, but I think we all know how this is going?
Well, I mean, if you're LeBron James of the Cleveland Cavaliers, you say, wait, what happened? They won 2 at home. Now we get to play at home.
A series never starts until someone loses on their home
and
court.
Milwaukee's still waiting for their series to start, by the way.
There you go.
Like, hey, guys, no one's won on our home floor. No, it didn't look good. It looked good for a while, but, Boston's defense turned up to an intensity yesterday that, there was plays. I was sitting with the jump crew, and we watched Terry Rozier get screened and then rescreened and then rescreened again. He fought over every single one of them and harassed the ball handler. When you have guys young and athletic and willing to put in the work like that, it can be tiring. And I thought Cleveland really did not take advantage of getting easier baskets with LeBron either being off ball or in the post, or LeBron making passes to guys cutting. They had a lot of dribbling around, and it spent energy. And you could tell by the end LeBron was so gassed. Yeah. That's because he had to work so hard through 3 quarters.
And we're certainly going to get to LeBron and when he took the shoulder to the head in the first half. But as far and I'm always one of those that I always want to be careful of saying professional athletes or athletes anywhere and say they're not trying or what was their effort level. But there was a lot of that going on after this one. The Celtics had 20 uncontested shots in the second half. Yep. Now, Cleveland's not known for its defense, but still, part of defense is want to and hustle. What did you see?
So I would say for third quarter and a lot of the fourth quarter, it wasn't effort, it was just sloppiness. And again, this is why when we sit around and say to you, the regular season matters because it's where you build your defensive habits, where you don't make these mistakes, so that when you get to this point, muscle memory, we know what to do.
And that's been the problem for the Cavs all regular season.
All regular season, and people say you could just turn it on in the playoffs because LeBron's that great. LeBron was right there making mistakes, just like everyone else, getting beat on backdoor cuts, on switches, horrible miscommunication. Him and J.R. Smith twice in the game were supposed to hand off. They didn't hand off. They both went with the same guy. The other guy popped out and hit a 3 as a result. And then getting blown by. There were a lot of times, Jaylen Brown just went around LeBron James.
Right.
And once that happens, whether he scores or not is irrelevant. It's that you start to put the Cavs defense into rotation, and they're not good at anything more than that first rotation, which is LeBron got beat. I'm here to help. The ball goes out. Wait a second. We got to close out hard over there. And that guy swings to the top of the key, and now no one's there because we're not disciplined enough to handle second rotation, third rotation, like a team like Boston is.
Right,
do that with Boston. They can scramble and get out, and no one's rotating not only is no one not rotating, they're not rotating to the wrong guy.
So is it deceiving that it's really not lack of hustle, it's just lack of ability?
I thought it was absolutely third quarter, middle of the fourth quarter. I thought it was just lack of execution. You're not good at doing this because you haven't been doing it all year long. And then at some point, when, Boston rattled off a couple, then it looked like they just gave up. It looked like, all right, this game's over.
Right.
As I said, it looked like they got slapped in the face with a fish. It's just like,
you did keep bringing that up.
It's the greatest. I saw a guy pick up a fish and chuck it in somebody else's face, a dead fish.
What?
That's
you
the
saw that happen?
Yeah, it's the greatest amount of disrespect I've ever seen. Just picked up a fish and threw it at this guy, hit him right in the face. So after game one, LeBron said he had zero level of concern. Where is his concern level right now as Amin Elhassan is with us?
Well, I mean, I think you got to be really concerned when J.R. Smith goes out there and lays a goose egg. Yeah. Korver was better. Kevin Love was really good for them. But again, I think if you're the Cavs, there's two things you have to address. One is we have to make this easier. So LeBron almost went through what Harden went through the other night, which is ISO, dribble. Like, okay, you're doing great, but this is wearing you down. And by the end of this game, you won't be able to keep up the energy level it takes, to basically overcome. And then the other thing is they've got to get right defensively. And that one, I don't know if they can do. That's one of those things where you can't kind of cram for the final exam the night before. You should have been doing your homework all year long. So for me, it's almost like, no, we got to get the offense right, because it's the only chance we have is to just obliterate them from the perimeter and have LeBron pick them apart with his passing, which he did. The crazy thing is there were a bunch of times they had LeBron in the high post, sometimes lifted all the way above the 3-point line. And you had Kevin Love and Kyle Korver screen for one another, and Kyle Korver would pop and Kevin Love slipped to the basket. You had a couple of and ones there. The first play of the game they ran was J.R. Smith on a screen like that. He missed the layup, but Tristan Thompson with the tap in. Those are great offensive sets because it forces Boston's defense to make decisions. Wait, do I stay with him or do I stay with him? Who do you got? Who do I got? There's that misdirection there. Anytime where it's like dribble, pound, Tristan come up, set a screen, that's easy. Because now I know, okay, Jeff Green's here, I'm going to come in to help. And if they kick it out Jeff Green and he makes that three, God bless him.
Right. Well, we're not going to, we'll give you that one.
We're prepared to give that one because I know what the options are, what I'm giving up, what I'm not. With those screens, those off-ball screens, it's a lot of, wait, do we switch this? Do we not switch this? And there's a lot of, even if you switch it, you get guys who have mismatches and can get guys on their hip. Like, again, Kevin Love got a bunch of post-ups like that.
So less than 4 minutes ago in the half, Tatum runs through LeBron and clean, nothing dirty about it. His shoulder catches LeBron in the jaw, kind of snaps his head a little bit. LeBron down on a knee, makes 1 or 2 free throws. They foul to stop play. He walks to the locker room, come back out, and starts to play. Says it's a neck strain. Mm-hmm. What did you see? What did you think? Do you think the right protocol was followed?
From our vantage point, we were behind the basket and high, so we just saw LeBron kind of at first I didn't know whether it was a flop or not. Luckily, I had my iPad open and we had the game streaming on the ESPN app, which you can download right now. Yes, watch all your favorite coverage.
Hold on, nicely done.
Yeah. Nicely done. And so on the replay, we saw, oh no, that wasn't just kind of a flop. Right in the jaw. It was like a punch. Like he got punched. And went to the locker room and came back, and everyone said, man, if he went through concussion protocol, that was the quickest concussion protocol ever. Yeah. But to his credit, I didn't feel like he was out of sorts in terms of not there. He had a great pass to Tristan Thompson out of a pick and roll where he slipped the pass between 3 different people. I mean, if he had a concussion, he was doing some things that, a guy with his bell rung theoretically should not be able to do, but then again, it's LeBron James.
Did he look different in the second half to you, though, than the first half?
Because he didn't go to the rim as much.
He looked tired. I don't think he looked out of sorts, like, where am I? I think he just looked tired, like, oh, man, I don't want to do. A lot of those jump shots were just like, I'm not going to go through all that. I just want to get this up.
Okay, so Amin Elhassan is with us. We're recruiting him to be on the Family Feud side.
Yes, we are.
We play the Lebitard Show. We just played Brettomology, which is our version of Researcher Brett. Oh, he doesn't have it.
No, we can't do it.
No, I don't.
No, okay. All right, we're gonna
have to talk about Western Conference in Game 2.
All right, well, let's do that instead. Okay, so if the Rockets win tonight, what chance do you give them still to take 3 more from the Warriors, who have lost 2 games when Steph Curry and Kevin Durant in the postseason are together?
Yeah,
I mean, right? That's it.
They've lost. Yeah, it's in 2 years they've lost 2 games, and those guys both on the floor, and then 1 more if Steph hasn't been out there. I mean. Again, anything can happen, and that's why we play the game and all those other cliches.
I think whenever you start with anything can happen, we know where this is going.
Yeah.
I mean, look, here's the thing, because particularly I think listeners who are familiar with me are always going to point to 2016, because I was saying meteor, alien abduction. That's the only way they're going to lose. But there is a set of circumstances where the sun and the moon and stars all align. Steph Curry's not 100%. Draymond Green is ejected, suspended.
Right.
Bogut is hurt for the rest of the series. Andre Iguodala pulls his back. Harrison Barnes is on a milk carton for 7 straight games.
Right.
And then LeBron makes the greatest defensive play of all time.
Right.
Kyrie hits one of the biggest shots of all time. And then you have a Kevin Love, Steph Curry ISO, and Kevin Love gets a stop on that. If I told you, hey man, you think all those things could happen within the span of like 3 games or so? No, come on. That's way too much. It's a what if. But it happened.
Right.
And what happened because Cleveland was, with all those circumstances on the Golden State side happening, they were good enough to take advantage. And I'll say the same thing about Houston. If the circumstances line up where Golden State's vulnerable, Houston is a team that's good enough to take advantage. Now, the next part is, do I think those circumstances are going to line up? Probably not.
So when all is said and done in the NBA Finals, how many games does it take for Golden State to beat Boston?
That's a good question. I'm giving this away. I shouldn't do this, but I did this in January. I wrote down on a piece of paper because I made a bet with one of the producers.
Really?
On the jump, Steve Martinez, who was adamant that I was crazy, and I said the Warriors won't drop more than 1 game in any of their series on the way to the championship. He said, "You're nuts."
Yeah.
And everyone, and Houston, everyone, and now everyone's like, that might actually
looking pretty good.
That paper might make it on TV this year.
Yeah.
So.
The force is strong with you, my friend.
Yeah.
Nicely done. Amin Elhassan, our NBA front office insider, who we are actively recruiting and stealing from the Levitard Show. That's just the way this goes. We're
bidding war.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Ryan! I don't know how else to say this, so I'll just say it.
What is it, Linda?
I think we should see other people.
Are you breaking up with me? On a roller coaster?
Well, we do have a lot of fun. Maybe we should stay together.
An emotional roller coaster? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
I just need a little me time.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And Brett, Brett has something he'd like to get in a shocking turn of events. Yes, Brett, what would you like to say?
I was just saying, our set is no stranger to having a junior and a third on it.
There you go. Let me just say,
Well done.
Thanks, Brett. We appreciate that. It's true. It's true. Junior and, of course, I am the third.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're at that time of the year in the calendar where it's that odd time for football because we've just gone through what I like to call the player procurement part of the year, which is very exciting. You have the start of the league year and free agency, and this guy's going there and this guy's going there. And then, we get to the really, really good stuff. The draft. And you're just all fired up for the draft and how it's going to go. And again, the draft was monster numbers, did better than Game 7 of the Pacers-Cavs series. People tune in. It was the most watched draft ever across so many networks, and, people's interest was intense.
Right.
And then it sort of drops off for a while.
Well, it drops off. See, what happens now is you have rookie mini camps right after the draft. Then you have the veteran mini camps. That bring in the rookies, obviously, as well. And then you'll finish up with OTAs. It'll all go to about the second, some the third week in June, and then it's done. Ball players get to go their own way. Coaches get to go their own way, and they'll meet up right around the third week in July when camps open up.
Exactly. So every once in a while, you want to hear some football news because it's the good stuff. So this one, which I thought was somewhat interesting. Lane Johnson.
Yes.
Eagles tackle.
Outspoken tackle.
Hilarious dude.
Yes.
He and Chris Long started the underdog mask that they wore after, Carson Wentz went down and they went all the way to the Super Bowl and won it with Nick Foles, the backup quarterback, who was Super Bowl MVP. Well, before the Super Bowl with the Patriots, Lane Johnson had come out there and said he's tired of the Patriots and all this kind of stuff. And, the Patriot way isn't the only way to win, blah, 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 blah. And then they won the Super Bowl. It's great. Congratulations. Good for you. You did it. Awesome. Well done.
Talk the talk. You walk the walk.
Right. Well, he's still walking the walk and talking the talk.
Yes, he is.
Well, actually, technically, he can only talk the talk now because he can't walk the walk until September. So he went on Steve Austin's podcast, the former wrestler, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here.
Stone Cold.
And he still has some things that he needs to get off his chest, Mike, in talking about the Patriots.
Yeah, he said there's obviously some stuff behind closed doors. Their owner talking blank to our owner. Bill, meaning Bill Belichick, talking blank to our head coach before the game. I'm not going to say it, but it's a lot of blank kind of stuff built up that I just got tired of hearing about, to be honest. He said, that's the thing. You're never going to know. Whatever they're told to do in the media is what they're told to do. Like I said, they're robots. So he said the owner talking garbage to their owner, Bill talking some smack to Doug Peterson. We don't know what was said. We have no idea. And he's not going to say it. He said it was behind closed doors stuff. And then talking about the Patriot locker room, which, as far as I'm concerned, handles everything the right way. Yeah, I want it to be a boring locker room as far as the player is concerned. And then Lane said, I'd rather win one Super Bowl than multiple Super Bowls the way the Patriots do it, which I call complete BS.
That's a lie.
Complete BS on that.
Yeah.
So he's still kind of spouting off about that. And again, I don't know what was said. If he feels his owner was, disrespected, if he feels his coach was disrespected.
And we have no idea if they actually were.
We don't. But
how you interpret it.
If he feels that they were, then more power to him.
Yeah.
I have no problem if he feels he's sticking up for his team, his city, his coach, and his owner. I don't have a problem with it at all. But I completely disagree with his. I'd take one Super Bowl over multiple Super Bowls the way the Patriots are winning it. Yeah. Because I guarantee you, there ain't, as I said, that kumbaya in any locker room all the time, in any sport, anywhere. So everybody has their differences. But the bottom line is to win, and they win a lot of championships in New England. So I'll take that over one.
Look, here's the simplest way to put this. Are there other ways to win?
Absolutely there are.
We've seen that with Seattle. We've seen that with Denver recently. We've seen that with Philadelphia just this past season. But there is not another franchise ever that has done what the Patriots have done over 17 seasons. I think the way it stacks up, Tom Brady is more likely to get to an AFC championship game than any other quarterback is to complete a pass.
Yeah. So
it's ridiculous. 5 Super Bowl championships, 8 Super Bowl appearances. You can win other ways. There's been no other model that has been proven to have this sort of sustained excellence. Because really, the only 3 things that have been there since 2001 to heading into the 2018 season have been the head coach, Bill Belichick, the owner, Robert Kraft, and the quarterback, Tom Brady. All the other parts are interchangeable, and that's the way he's approached it. Lane Johnson is right. They want it that way. But to have the sustained success that the Patriots have had, this is the only way it's ever been proven to work.
Yeah.
The only way.
Yeah, and I don't think New England's out there spouting this is the only way you can win there, because there have been a lot of champions who've won it before them who've won it in different ways. So, as I'll say again, if Lane Johnson's sticking up for his city, his coach, his owner, more power to him. Absolutely would do the exact same thing, but let's stop the old, I don't want to win that way, I'd rather win my way type of thing. Bottom line is you're winning, okay? Yeah. If you can win some multiples that way, I think you take it.
You know what comes with winning? Everything.
Everything
comes with winning.
Only thing that matters in a team sport like that, you know?
Yeah. So, listen, we'll see how this plays out, and we'll see what Lane Johnson has to say when they put on the pads again going forward. All right, coming up, when is a headline not exactly what happens in real life? We'll get to that, plus reaction to the Supreme Court's ruling on gambling from a commissioner at an event called the Lottery, of all things.
It's Golic and Wingo.
One of the number one seeds going in the NCAA tournament is leaving Xavier.
Are we just not going to acknowledge that, by the way? You and Golic, love you, struggle a little bit when it comes to reading. So every time you guys bungle a read, we have a Stugatz sounder.
By the way, I do find it somewhat ironic that Stugatz is the one that's giving people trouble about reading.
Trey, that's the point.
That's what I consider to be the hardest part about this.
SportsCenter brought to you by DXL. Guys, if you're built like a linebacker or a power forward, finding clothes that fit has never been easy until DXL. DXL was built just for XL guys with over 100 brands and an unrivaled fit starting at size XL. So get to your nearby DXL store or check them out online at destinationxl.com. Built to fit, built XL, DXL.
Golic and Wingo with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Okay. So the big story, I think no matter what happens in sports, well, you never know what can happen in the next 2 days, but the biggest story over the last 3 days has been the Supreme Court decision to allow sports gambling in every state, just not Nevada. and every commissioner of every sport is trying to figure out their way to deal with it. No one has been more progressive on that front than NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, who in his tenure as the NBA commissioner has been progressive on everything.
Yes, he has.
Whether it comes to players and the social issues that they speak out on, putting advertising on uniforms, that people absolutely flipped out over.
Yeah, they did.
Which I could not understand.
Oh, I mean, look at what goes on in soccer around the world, in racing,
international basketball.
I mean, it's everywhere, and now it's here in the NBA. And as I said, you'll get used to it and get used to it more because you can make a dime on it. Go ahead and make a dime on it, and you'll get used to looking at it and playing. It'll be just kind of there to you.
I mean, people's heads were exploding over that. I never understood why that was such a huge deal. So now everyone is trying to navigate this way of now that there is the potential. We know that several states, including New Jersey, who want to have their books up and running by the NBA Finals, by the way, they're trying to figure out how do we do this? How do we get, most importantly, they're figuring out, air quotes, how do we keep the integrity of our league?
Right.
But really, air quotes, how do we get money?
How do we make a dime on this thing?
Exactly. So this is NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. By the way, there is something called the draft lottery.
Yep.
So they've sort of embraced this for a long, long time. This is Adam Silver talking about with Cassidy Hubbarth at the draft lottery last night, speaking to our Cassidy Hubbarth about what this means with sports gambling going forward, specifically with the NBA.
So the next move is to work both on a federal level to try to get Congress to adopt a national framework. That would be our preference. The NFL has said the same thing publicly, and we think there should be a common sort of framework that for all states and then allow states to opt in or not, because of course we operate in 50 states and it concerns us a little bit to have a hodgepodge of regulations, but if that's what it's going to be, that's fine. And of course sports betting is already legal in Nevada. It's legal outside the United States in many jurisdictions, so it's not completely new to us, but I think in terms of the integrity of the league, which is paramount, we're going to have to take a fresh look at everything we do and just make sure everything's completely covered, how we disclose information, how referees are assigned. I mean, things we deal with already, but we realize there'll be even that much more scrutiny on everything that happens around the league.
There will be scrutiny. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Turn your mic on. You are a professional.
Not really.
Yeah. Listen, NBA and NFL are kind of coming at it from two separate ways to a common goal.
Yes.
NFL has been fighting this. They don't want it. NBA, Adam Silver said, listen, it's going to happen. We're going to embrace it.
And we want our 1%.
But now they want to embrace it, as Adam said, the same way the NFL does. They want basically a governing body.
Right.
They don't want to have to deal with, if it's 50 states, the talk is maybe 32 states in 5 years, whatever it is. Say 50 states and 50 different set of rules, right?
Right.
To go with that. Let's get a universal set of rules and let's go there. If you have to deal with the states individually, believe me, they're going to do it. So now that's exactly it. There are so many tentacles to this thing from now until God knows when, which includes networks like our own, to obviously casinos, to what Vegas has done, to what all the other states are going to do. What are they going to model them after? But the bottom line is exactly what you said. How can you get your money? And I thought it interesting when Adam Silver said what kind of information we give out there. That's their leverage. That is how these leagues, unless states just want to work with them and say, you know what, we feel it's best to be in bed with the teams that we can bet on. Remember, New Jersey, if you're in there, you can't bet on any of the local colleges and such that are in state there. But pro is a different game. So maybe some states will say, you know what, we want to get in bed with the professional sports, so we'll go ahead and work out a deal. Others are going to say, listen, Nevada's never given you guys a dime. Why the hell are we giving you a dime? So when you start talking about information, that's what leagues are talking about, because that's what leagues it's all about leverage. What can the leagues say to the casinos that says you should give us money? It's because what can we withhold from you that we're giving out now? What can we withhold from you that you need desperately from us that will let you give us a piece of the pie?
Look, essentially what we have here are two separate issues. First and foremost, everything that's being said either from gaming commissions or states or the leagues is now negotiating. That's what they're doing. They're all negotiating before they actually have to figure out, are we going to go to battle over this, over a lawsuit? The other thing is, do we think that there's going to be Congress? I mean, not the greatest track record on getting stuff done. Okay. And we just had the Supreme Court strike down an overriding federal law for all states. So basically the Supreme Court just said, hey, states, figure it out on your own. You can if you want to, or you don't have to. Now, both the league, the NBA and the NFL are saying, we want there to be a federal law in place. Well, there was a federal law in place, and the Supreme Court said, yeah, probably not so much. Yeah. Now, I get it, that was from a ban, but do you really want the federal law to cover everybody? Because it sounds like from the Supreme Court ruling, they basically said, hey, states, do whatever you want.
Yeah, we're going to
that's the exact opposite of saying we're going to have a new legislation that covers everybody.
Yeah.
So what do you think is more likely to happen? Does Congress really want to wade in here? Do they really want to do that?
Well, it depends. Are we close to election time, or we
got midterms coming up in November? Do
they want to be? They want to be. And I'm serious.
Yeah.
Do they want to be headlining?
Yeah.
If they want to be headlining, they'll get involved in this. I mean, let's not act like we haven't seen that before. If they want a little publicity, then maybe you will see that. You know what else is going to be interesting to me is because the professional leagues are going after the dime.
Yeah. Of course they are.
About college.
Yeah.
How about the NCAA?
Well, the NCAA
I don't mean individual schools.
Yeah.
Well, what's the NCAA going to do if all this is going to happen? It looks like it's going to happen. Does the NCAA as an entity try and do exactly what the NBA is going to be doing, what the NFL is going to be doing, what baseball and hockey are going to be doing, trying to get their piece of the pie? And then the players and every person that's screaming the players are getting screwed and all this are going to say, wow. Yeah. Another revenue stream for the NCAA and nothing for us.
I think it would be absolutely certain to look at this that the NCAA is going to try. I mean, look, there's a reason they pay billions of dollars for the television.
Why
rights,
would
okay?
I would if I
They're
were
not
them.
giving anything out for free either.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go down that road pretty easily.
Yeah. That
the NCAA also wants their share of the pie as this thing plays out. But look. It's going to happen. The question then becomes, do we really believe that a federal law is going to try and legislate this thing again when the Supreme Court just said, hey, states, figure it out on your own? When we come back, our newest member of our football team will join us. We're delighted to be joined now in studio by our newest ESPN NFL analyst, John Fox. Joins us in studio, giving us a Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. You, of course, know John from his time as a defensive coordinator with the Giants, then head coach of the Carolina Panthers, head coach of the Denver Broncos, head coach of the Chicago Bears. I, of course, know John as a fellow parent of an Elon graduate. His son graduated in Elon 2014, the same time my daughter did. We ran into each other at the Oaks on campus. That was a good time, right?
Beautiful day, and good to get him out of college for sure.
Yeah, we got raises.
Exactly. We were just talking. You guys know there. My daughter Sydney works with the Bears and worked when Coach was there as well. So our kids all seem to be going around in the circle here.
So first of all, welcome. Glad you're here.
Well, proud to be here. Excited about it, and completed my first day yesterday.
There you go. Well, you know what? You're still here, so that's a
great. It is. You get to talk football, and you'll always be 0-0.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
Exactly. There are no more losses on your resume as long as you're with us. So we are happy to have you here. We'll get into a lot of football with John, but first, let's do what we always do with what's trending, and we'll start with the trending of the Celtics. And the trend is the series is over because they outscored the Cavs by 20 in the second half. They're up 2-0 in the series, which historically, Mike, means that they're going to win the series. They're 37-0 all time.
Yeah, listen, and LeBron was fantastic to start the game, just like we thought he would be. I got some help from Kevin Love, but Boston's a better team, but we all thought Cleveland would go because they have LeBron James, the best player on the planet, but just not enough other help around them. Boston, we know they can score. At times they get cold, but defensively, they're so good, which is what's going to be the difference for them, I think, in this series, even though a lot of people still think, well, Cleveland, they lost them on the road. That's fine. They can win them at home. I just don't think Cleveland has enough to win 4 games in this one. It looks like LeBron, outside of getting hit in that face the way he did, he is definitely starting to look like he's a little bit tired.
Well, he's been doing it so many minutes. Even in the regular season, first time he played all 82 games in his career, in his 15th year in the league. Again, he had 42 points and a triple-double. That's the third 40-point triple-double in the postseason. That passes the Big O, who's synonymous with the triple-double until Russell Westbrook did it 2 straight seasons, passing Oscar Robertson for the most in NBA history, that according to our friends at the Elias Sports Bureau. Well, barring a trade, which can happen, the Phoenix Suns will have the first pick in the NBA draft because they won the draft lottery. The math held up, Mike. It was the 4th straight year that the team with the best chance to win the number 1 overall pick did indeed do just that.
And the math worked in the favor of Sacramento. They had only a 5% chance of getting the number 2 pick, yet they got it. And it is Atlanta with the number 3 pick. So who's it going to be? DeAndre Ayton, the kid from Arizona? Is it going to be Luka Doncic, who plays for Real Madrid, and is supposed to be just a phenomenal 6'8" point guard, a passer out there. So what it was going to be Phoenix needs. We had Amin Elhassan in here a little before, and he was kind of making a play for those two and for Marvin Bagley III as well. He wasn't really committing to one of those players, but those are basically your top three right now in all your mock drafts going out there.
But, Mike, I commit to you this question. Can you name me a Sacramento Kings player?
Yes, I can. Zach Randolph.
There you go. And don't forget Vince Carter.
De'Aaron Fox was there last night, and actually, it was the lucky piece for them that got him that second pick.
I'm proud of our guy.
Yeah.
I'm proud of our guy right there. All right, we continue. And the Rockets host the Warriors tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN Radio, seeking to avoid that 2-0 hole in this series. Mike, if they lose, Houston will be the first team in history to win 65 games during the regular season and go down in a postseason series 2 games tonight.
They're an isolation team, and they ISO'd more in Game 1, way more in Game 1, both by team and by James Harden than they had in any other game they played this year. So I wonder if they'll try and walk that back a little bit or just say, hey, this is what got us to the dance. We're not going to change it right now. Again, this is another one where the bottom line is Golden State's a better team. Golden State will have to
work in their favor.
Golden State will have to be off a number of times in this series for them to lose this series, which just is not going to happen.
Let's just say good luck with that.
Yeah.
With Durant and Curry on the same team at the same time, they've lost 2 playoff games.
2 playoff games.
And now they're going to lose 4 or 6?
Nope.
Scotty says, I don't think so.
Yeah.
All right, so that is what's trending. Again, we're with you this morning and glad to be in with our new ESPN NFL analyst, John Fox. So just out of curiosity, how important was it for you, John, to stay tied into the game somehow, some way?
I've been in football for 38 years, 28 in the National Football League. So, Trey, it was very natural for me to take this position and, I get around and hang out with guys that I've been around for my whole career and, whether it's in football or any sports. So it's exciting for me, and yesterday was my first day.
So, but before we start getting into like what's going on now and as we prepare for a season, overall, you've been at this a long time, so much now where it's changed, especially the coaching part of it. You don't get to see the players until later, and you don't get to work them as much in training camp or in the regular season. Is it frustrating to be a coach now in the NFL with some of the new guidelines?
Yeah, I'd say it is. Yeah, I think, philosophically, I believe they need more in the offseason, especially in the strength and conditioning phase. I think some of the training camp measures as far as how much time they get to be in pads, even in season as far as that workload. But the good news is that they keep everybody the exact same, so they monitor it very well. The offseason thing is frustrating, especially as a new staff. You heard John Gruden bring that up a couple times where he can't even see the players. I mean, they don't even let you have contact with them. So, it gets frustrating, but I think the NFL's doing a good job of monitoring it.
The one rule for those that may not know, you get 14 padded practices during the regular season. There's 17 weeks of the season, and you get 14 padded practices. And I said my time in Philly with Buddy Ryan, we would go Wednesday pad, Thursday pad, and if we lost, Friday pads. Before this came into play, what was your routine? How many days a week were you in pads?
Well, I think we'd go at least one just about every day. It kind of depended on the team, where you were injury-wise. You just felt the condition of your team. So that was flexible. Training camp, it's not 2 days anymore. You never have a 2-day practice. It's not allowed. You have a walkthrough. All right, that's every other day. So some of the ways to kind of find out maybe where your team was at, both from a toughness level, just to find out who your tough guys were. You're not really permitted to do that anymore because you don't have back-to-back practices to figure that out.
John Fox with us, our newest NFL analyst here at ESPN. You, of course, know him as a head coach formerly of the Chicago Bears, the Denver Broncos, the Carolina Panthers. My first memory of you will always be as the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Hat backwards, 2 thumbs up when the guy's coming off the field. And people forget what a great staff that was. You were the defensive coordinator for the Giants. At the same time, Sean Payton was the offensive coordinator for the Giants. And the meetings you guys used to have were legendary. You guys go out to dinner and just compare notes and do all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, it gets competitive. Like in old college football, you had spring ball. Well, one side of the ball was always upset. I'd use a different word, but
yeah.
TikTok. I don't know all the rules yet.
If you can't say it in front of your kids, don't say it.
But yeah, so it was like that with Sean and I, even in training camp, like if they got the best of us, I'd be a little upset at him the rest of the day and vice versa. So it was a lot of fun. It's competitive and you love those competitive juices. And we did have a lot of good times.
So the draft just happened, and then we go to these the rookie camps. So take us inside now. Take us to what goes on when these rookies show up. That first day they're in front of you, and that first weekend. What are you trying to accomplish with them?
I think some people are not doing anything with the rookies alone. I think there's a risk injury. We've had a couple injuries the last couple of years in those rookie mini camps. So some people have even dove all the way away from it. I don't believe in it because I think they need to get into your system, know your terminology, just how to get in the huddle and get out of a huddle. But I think phase 1 and phase 2, where you're not really allowed to do anything in the off season as far as against people, it's more or less mental work. I know a lot's been made of Tom Brady, whether he's been there or not. Really until the OTAs and the vet mandatory minicamp, you're really not allowed to really do football.
So as far as getting players prepared, you had a guy in Mitch Trubisky who started, as a rookie.
You read my mind, Michael.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Early on in his career, obviously. So when you get a guy like that to minicamp, how soon do you start feeding him and how quickly do you feed him?
Well, I think, once the whole team gets there. Now, as the rookie minicamp, it's a lot of classroom work, as far as terminology. It's learning a new language. Wherever they came from, wherever any rookie comes from, they come to an NFL team, they're learning a whole new language. And it was no different with Mitch. But now once the veterans show up, you get your whole team in there, one of the balancing acts is trying to get guys – what reps? Okay, so who's going to be the first quarterback, get the first team reps? Who's going to get the second team reps? And then if you've got 3 brand new quarterbacks in many cases, like we did a year ago in Denver or in Chicago, who's getting those 1 reps? And you've got to prepare all 3 of them so they can compete and figure out who your starter is.
All right, John Fox with us, former head coach of the Bears, the Broncos, and the Carolina Panthers. Let's before we get into this year's draft, which I want to get into, I want to get your thoughts on Mitchell. Obviously, you guys jumped up to get him last year, gave up a bunch to get up 1 step to take him second overall. What do you think the ceiling is for Mitchell Trubisky? Bears fans want to know this.
Yeah, I think I don't know that last year was a real fair assessment. I think we weren't as good at throwing the ball as we were at running the ball. And so we became not as balanced as we would like. But I think, you've seen a lot of the Bears' moves this offseason, with additional weapons. They brought in Robinson, they brought in a tight end. And I think, those weapons will help him. We lost Alshon Jeffrey a year ago to the Philadelphia Eagles. That didn't help us. So to be able to give him a supporting cast, I think is going to help. And now it's a matter of, learning Matt Nagy's new offense. It's a whole new offensive system. They kept the whole defense intact, so they're pretty solid over there. So it's going to be really they can run the ball. They have the players to run the ball. Now it's going to be really getting more proficient in the pass game.
And some of it was a lot of your O-line, had some injuries there. Kyle Long, I know, missed a lot of the years, one of the best linemen out there. So that hopefully will get together as well with less injuries. As far as when you talk about bringing in the vets for the first time, with the rookies and the vets after a draft, how many times have you, and what do you think about, so forgetting the quarterback, let's talk about a guy like Saquon Barkley, Bradley Chubb, Quentin Nelson, who look like they're going to be immediate contributors. You put them in right away, day one, are you put any of those guys right into the starting lineup? Have you done that in the past, and how does that work?
We drafted Julius Peppers.
That worked, by the way. Congratulations.
Yes, yeah. Same thing, flash forward to the Denver Broncos. We drafted Von Miller at the second pick.
That also worked. Well done.
Yeah, so, they were starters day one, and, you make that kind of commitment. It depends on the coaching staff. Some guys might want to do it that way, some guys might not, but you draft that kind of talent at that point in the draft, you better feel that good about them to line them up at number 1 to start your first team camp.
And while veterans kind of understand that's where it's going to go, is there ever any of that, you get your hand in the guy of the job, even though when you're taking that high, they're probably going to get there? You get any veteran?
Oh yeah, don't think for a second that on draft night that every single veteran in the National Football League, I don't care what team, they got eyes wide open. They get it, and it's a competitive business, but it's what makes it so great.
John Fox with us in studio, former head coach of the Bears, the Panthers, and the Denver Broncos. So let's talk a little bit about this year's draft because it was unique in the quarterbacks. We had 4 quarterbacks go in the first 10. That had never happened before in draft history. We had 5 in the first round. That's only 3 times that's happened. We had it once in 99, and then 6 went in 83, obviously, the great 50-50 draft, 3 Hall of Famers and 3 not Hall of Famers. So as you looked at this batch of quarterbacks, which one would you say out of all of them, whether it was Lamar Jackson, Rosen, Baker Mayfield, Darnold, Josh Allen, which one would you feel the most confident when that's going to be the guy 10 years from now we're talking about in this draft?
I did look at it. I didn't look at it like I have every year. Probably his first draft, I've not really been with a football team. But I did look at it, and, I really kind of liked Sam Darnold, personally, was the guy.
We're on the same team, by the way.
Was the guy I think that I thought was probably at most of the things that I look for in a quarterback. And, I thought, Josh Allen, I thought maybe had the most upside. Again, you're looking at trying to project guys. But, time will tell.
How difficult is it, because you had a guy start early on, how difficult is it to mute expectations? You want to win, you want that person to do great, but you have to temper it.
I think, like even like last year with Mitch, we weren't going to throw the book at him. And, one thing I thought our staff did a great job with Mitch is we didn't throw him to the wolves. I mean, he ended up, I think, +7 in his turnover margin, which not many rookie quarterbacks get to do that.
That is a very significant stat. I mean, for that, I mean, again, when he was playing out there, he gave away 7 fewer turnovers than the team got. That is a significant number for a rookie quarterback.
Well, I think to do that, you're building confidence, and we leaned on our running game a lot. I know it was frustrating to a lot of Bears fans, but that's to not throw him into the fire too, because I think once you kind of can develop that run game, that's a quarterback's best friend. I don't care who it is, whether he's a Hall of Famer, a 10-year vet, or a first-year starting quarterback like Mitchell.
So as we go forward here, as we're talking to John Fox, our newest NFL analyst, previous head coach of the Bears, the Broncos, and the longtime head coach of the Carolina Panthers, was there one of those quarterbacks that you had concerns about coming into this draft? Because obviously 4 teams think they hit a home run. I mean, you go 4 in the top 10. There were concerns about the size of Baker Mayfield. There were concerns about the accuracy of Josh Allen. There were concerns about the attitude of Josh Rosen, which, by the way, I never understood. I mean, I want my guy to be a little cocky. I want my guy to be like, I'm the dude, man. So was there any of those quarterbacks that you had a little concern about going into this draft?
Not really, Trey. I looked at all of them. There was positives in all of them. I kind of tend to lean more on the, show me the good and see what, because it's all risky. You're dealing with people, So I mean, it's not an exact science.
I'm glad you said that, because everyone I think looks at the draft as like, oh, it's a product. I'm going to take this thing like from the Apple store and upgrade my computer. They are people. They're just like everybody else. They go through all the same stuff that we all do.
No doubt. And, there's been a lot said about, the rookie class and who's going to mentor them and all that. I mean, rookies at the end of the day, I don't care what position they play. They just need to go in, shut up, learn as much as they can, spend all the extra time in the book, learn that language. And, those guys that do that and they can turn it over to the field the quickest are the guys that succeed. And it doesn't matter what position. They're going to walk in that building, especially when those vets are there, and hopefully they'll have a good model to look at. It's not so much mentoring, it's modeling.
Right.
Look how they do it. And that's how great teams are built.
There are some things that never go out of style, and that's keep your mouth shut and your ears and your eyes open. I mean, my dad saying that to me time and time again when you go into a new situation and try and learn that way. All right, we're trying to learn in a new NFL today. There's a couple of things. The kickoff I'll get to in a minute, but now it seems like use your head for anything. They're going to throw a flag. Now they're going to have to obviously water that down to exactly what are you going to throw a flag on. In these last couple of years when it's really become the head injury and what they're calling out there, how difficult has that been to coach and teach the proper technique, because you can't really hit anymore in practice?
I think those are things or directions that the league is definitely addressing, which they should. And again, player safety is paramount in a lot of the rules and how they're administered. The hardest thing, whether it was defenseless receivers, 5 years ago when we went down that rabbit hole, and now they even, lining up, with even in the run game head to head. Danny Trevathan got ejected a year ago. Yep. All right. And again, the receiver had become a runner and still was fined and basically suspended for a game. So the players and the coaches are doing a great job of adjusting to that. Look, there's moms out there and parents out there that aren't allowing their kids to play football. All right. And that's a problem. It's a great game, and we've got to keep our game going. So I think it's a need. It's the hard part and the frustrating part for the coaches and players sometimes is, how that's officiated, and the officials have a tough job in that area too. So I think we've got to keep marching forward. I think the people involved, the coaches, the players, the officials are doing a great job of doing the best they can.
We want to get to the gambling thing, but one more on the field. Do you think this league will ever not have the kickoff?
I think there's a possibility. I personally am a purist. I would not like to see that. Again,
what would you do? How was there a way you would change it?
Well, I think what happened is, way back when, it's a little bit different. I hope we got time, but the center, left guard, left tackle, right tackle on the kickoff return team used to be linemen.
Right.
All right. And I think what we've done is we've sped the game up. We've put faster players out there. So whether it's non-contact or contact injuries, it's because of the speed on the field. And, a short yardage and goal line, people actually scrimmage that still. There's not a fear like bumper cars. All right, there's not a whole lot of injuries in bumper cars because the speed is so slow. Now, you start talking Formula One, you start talking NASCAR, all right, because the speed is so great. Now you're talking about kickoff coverage. Really even offense now, with so many multiple wideouts on the field for so many downs. I think that's why we've seen the injury level pick up in our league. So I think that's something that needs to be looked at and probably monitored.
And the other thing is we're talking with John Fox, our newest NFL analyst, 3-time head coach in the NFL. Everyone's going to be looking at this brand new world where sports gambling is going to be allowed. What do you think the NFL, because they seem to still be very rigid in their position on this topic, whereas Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, has been a little more progressive and sort of welcoming in it. How do you think the NFL is going to navigate this and understand the reality of it's out there and it's happening?
Well, I think, again, gambling's been a part of our game for a long time.
Right.
There's teams,
hashtag fantasy sports.
Yeah. There's some teams in this league that were won in gambling.
Yeah.
I'm talking about ownership.
Yes, right. Exactly.
Going way back.
Yeah.
All right. But, I think like anything, no different than legalized marijuana. I was in a state in Colorado that had legalized. Well, that doesn't affect what the NFL football team, the Denver Broncos, how they do it. They're still tested. They're still not allowed to do it. It's still illegal in the National Football League. I can promise you that whether gambling becomes legalized in your state or not, we've got an NFL franchise eventually going to be in Las Vegas,
right?
Where it is legalized.
Where a hotel tax with casinos in them is building the stadium. Yeah,
exactly. So it's not new to the league. I don't think anybody wants to jump on board in totality. I think I understand that, but coaches, players, people involved in the National Football League, employed by the National Football League, aren't going to be allowed to bet on games.
Yeah. Right, so it's not going to have that effect. It's going to be the league overall. They're going to get money on this thing.
And see if they get their cut of the pie like the NBA. We want our 1%. Yep. Hey, John, as I don't have any more kids in college, I'm glad you're here so I can run into you a little more often.
I like that.
And here's the other thing. Once you come once, you got to come back.
Oh,
so
I'll be back.
We'll have you back.
If you'll have me.
Absolutely.
We're done. I'll make sure I'll get Camby on it.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
John Fox with us in studio, our newest NFL analyst, and we couldn't be happier to have him on our team.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS-ConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Washing my nose, oh yeah.
I'm a shower curtain, and I do one thing, keep water from leaking everywhere. So you see why I feel useless compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could Geico save you money, but they've been around for over 75 years. And they give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or on the Geico app. And they've got a 97% customer satisfaction rating. They do all this while I have to listen to this chucklehead. Oh, good, he stopped.
Washing my toes.
Oh, great, an encore.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. So we're going to get into something in a moment here, but we did have the NBA Draft Lottery last night.
Yes, we did.
And, Adam Silver talked a lot about the gambling issue and how they want to navigate this going forward. But again, this is something, the draft lottery, that's going to be changing next year. They're sort of changing up, and the idea, Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, making this change because he wants to try and avoid tanking, which people do. I mean, the process was all about tanking in Philadelphia for a couple of years. Then Mark Cuban, the Mavericks owner, came out and said, yeah, we're going to tank because it's best for the team. And then he got slapped on the wrist and had to pay a bunch of money. So this was Adam Silver in a conversation with our Cassidy Hubbard last night about the changes coming up in the lottery next year and whether or not it will actually help with tanking.
Do I feel that it will completely deal with the issue of incentives to not win? And my answer is I'm not sure. You can benefit by being at the bottom because draft picks are so important, and there's no doubt about that, and the analytics are very clear. And I feel bad for some of the GMs too, because some of them in their communities, when they're competing, fans are coming up to them and saying, what are you doing? You're better off losing a game tonight. And you can't want that as a sports league. I mean, we're ultimately about competition. So I don't think we're all the way there. I think this change for next year will help things, but really around the margins. We still have to continue thinking about whether there are other ways to ensure that teams are fully incentivized to be competing all the time.
And again, just so people understand the difference coming up next year, the Phoenix Suns for the fourth straight year had the best chance to win the lottery, and they won the lottery. Next year, the three worst teams will have an equal 14% chance to land the top pick, and we both think that actually may increase the odds of tanking.
Adam Silver said kind of around the margins, kind of maybe helping a little. I don't know. Yeah, as you said, we both kind of agree. This kind of says, okay, we can be third worst, and still have, one of the top chances to get the best pick. So I really don't know how much this helps. And he admits that there needs to be more done, but while they think this is a step in the right direction, I don't know if it is to solve the problem. And I don't know what's going to solve the problem. I don't know what's going to happen.
Relegation.
Yeah, how about
Hamburg, get out.
I don't know
Swansea
what you're going to do.
Get out.
That's going to make the teams that are worst in the league, they have to get better by getting the top picks. And if you somehow take that away from them by making it first team out of the playoffs, then how do they ever get better? It's going to have to be by trades and or free agency, and what free agents want to go to those teams at times. So I don't know. I don't know where this goes. I just don't think that what they're doing next year, and again, Adam Silver doesn't think it's the end-all, be-all, but I don't know if it, in fact, doesn't go the other way.
Yeah, and look, unless you're going to go down the relegation road, which they're not going to, because too many teams would lose too much money, it's sort of an unanswerable question, and we'll figure it out. But you know what the opposite of tanking is in the NBA? That? Putting forth your best effort, and that's what you need to do to be a part of Golic and Wingo Leadership Retreat. Okay, again, it's not just a leadership retreat, it's the greatest scam in the history of corporate
America. There you go.
And we are proud to be a part of it. It is Golic and Wingo's off-site, all-hands, town hall leadership retreat strategy session golf tournament. It is going to be at Pinehurst Resort, the cradle of American golf. It's called the St. Andrews of American golf. And Mike, tell them what they're playing for.
This is incredible, gang. And again, it's June 21st, 22nd, 23rd. You are going to win a 3-day, 2-night trip to Pinehurst Resort in Pinehurst, North Carolina. Round-trip airfare for you and your 2 guests. I'll explain. Premium accommodations at Pinehurst Resort, including hotels, meals, all kind of swag you're going to get as well. This is going to be the trip of a lifetime for you. So, and we did. I don't know how we worked this thing out, and God love Pinehurst for jumping in with us.
We love them.
Because they jumped in with both feet. Gang, you're going to get to play Pinehurst number 2, which is more single golf championships than any other golf course in America. You're also going to get to play the Cradle, which is a 9-hole short course that's just a lot of fun to play as well. But here's the deal. We're going to have 4 winners. And if you're a winner, you know what you get to do? Select 2 friends to come with you.
Which sounds great, but it also means you're in a really tough spot. Yeah, unless you only have 2 friends.
You only have 2 friends, perfect.
Then it's great for you.
If you have more than 2 really good friends, good luck. But you can only bring 2. So that would mean you and 2 of your friends, that's 3 of you. Each of you, the 4 winners, then will have 2 of their friends with them. Then Trey will team with one group. I will team with a group. My son will team with a group. And Stu Gotts from the Le Batard Show.
If there's time.
If there's time. And if he's good, will team with a group as well. So we'll have those 4 foursomes golfing June 22nd at Pinehurst. Are you kidding me?
At Pinehurst number 2, by the way.
Here's what you need to do. Follow us at Golic and Wingo on our Twitter handle. This is all about tweeting. Now you have to tweet us. And you have to put the hashtag Golf with GW Contest. You get 1 entry and 1 entry only. And you can do it from now until Friday, May 25th. 1 entry. You can just tweet us, text us, tweet us, just words or a picture.
But that would be bad.
It would, unless it's really, really good.
Because let's be honest, we are looking for 3 things in these entries.
Yes, we are.
Creativity.
Yep.
Tone, which means something to our marketing team. And thematic alignment. So basically, be aligned with how you think the show. In other words, what do you think the show is? Whatever you think the show is, make it like the show. You see what I'm saying? I like creativity and out of the box thinking. That's where I'm going to go. And so you can tweet to us a photo, a video, or just a tweet, whatever you want. But it's at Golic Wingo, hashtag Golf with GW Contest. And 4 winners, bring 2 friends. Airfare, premium accommodations, golf, swag. It's going to be great. We're actually just going to be goofing off the entire time and drinking beer. Let's be 100% clear.
Yeah, I'm going to need you guys to go ahead and talk about the trust falls. That'd be great. Thanks.
Okay, so yeah.
There's going to be falls.
After too many drinks.
Trust us.
Yeah.
There will be falls.
And the obstacle course will be the overturned greens, basically. It looks like upside-down teacups.
Yeah, I better buy a lot of golf balls for this
Or
trip.
you better learn how to spin a wedge really quickly.
Oh, yeah. What, my finger or what? What are you talking about?
I will tell you something very carefully. Playing Pinehurst number 2, your best club is your foot or hand wedge.
Oh, I'm great
No question about that.
I am great at that.
Hand wedge, critical.
Going to be a great time.
Foot wedge, critical.
Going to be a great time. Again, get the entries in by Friday, May 25th. 4 winners. You get to bring 2 friends, 3 nights, 3 days, 2 nights. Everything taken care of at Pinehurst.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Absolutely.
It's going to be a ball. And who's ever on my team, we're going to win.
There's no chance.
Okay.
The other thing, though, to remember, you get 1 shot at this.
1 shot.
1 shot. Mm-hmm. 1 shining moment, if you will.
Make it your best. Take your best shot.
Yeah. By the way, we're going to finish this show where we started. We're going to settle the most important debate we've ever had. And science has entered into the equation.
Oh, God.
What would you be doing if you weren't in the sports broadcast industry?
I don't think there's any doubt I'd be doing porn.
Okay.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Porn name? Golic the Gargantuan. Are you kidding me?
Oh.
I mean, seriously.
All right, we didn't need that.
What?
We didn't need any of it.
What? You asked the question. You asked the question.
Now
you
that
get an
is
answer.
true. You guys
okay?
You knew where this was going.
Moving on.
I don't see the problem, and I don't see why everybody's surprised that that's the business I'd be in if it wasn't in this. I think it's pretty darn obvious.
I think everyone that's ever been in a locker room with you might disagree. Hey-oh!
SportsCenter is brought to you by Dell. May is Small Business Month, and to thank you for all your hard work, Dell is offering up to 40% off select PCs with 8th Gen Intel Core processors. Just call 877-BUY-DELL to speak with a small business technology advisor today. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
Okay, so I think we finally come to an understanding of how you hear what you hear on this thing. We'll get to that in a minute, but it's been very confusing, this Yanni Laurel thing, right?
Right.
Here is living proof that that's not the only thing that's confusing. First of all, I want to say right out in front, I love this guy.
Yeah.
Works for us. Had him on NFL Live a bunch. Great reporter.
Right.
But the headline on the ESPN.com article says, Josh Rosen impresses coach Lyman with first-team showing. And you're like, wow, Josh Rosen already moving up the food chain.
First team.
Getting first-team reps in OTAs.
How about that?
And there are veterans there.
Yeah.
So that's significant.
That's the headline.
Okay, from Josh Weinfuss, one of our great NFL Nation reporters.
So you read a headline like that, what are you doing?
You're looking into the article.
You're clicking it.
Yeah, and then down it says here, starting quarterback Sam Bradford was given the day off, and his backup Mike Glennon left practice within the first 20 minutes after vomiting on the field.
There you go.
So
there were 2 quarterbacks left on the roster there. It was one, Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
And the other was an undrafted rookie quarterback, Chad Kanoff.
We'll go with Kanoff.
Chad Kanoff. So it was between those 2 and Josh Rosen started over Chad.
Right.
And the headline is that Josh got the first team reps.
Exactly.
Love that.
Josh, we love you.
It.
Josh Rosen, we love you. Josh Weinfuss, we love you. But sometimes the article is not exactly what's said in the headline.
Man,
which leads us to the headline of the day. Yanni or Twitter.
Right.
So we put this out of Golic and Wingo. What
Yanni
side are you
Laurel,
on?
You
Yanni
mean?
or Laurel.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I messed that up completely. 61% said Laurel, 39% said Yanni. And here is the sound.
Laurel, Laurel, Laurel.
Now, see, when I hear that, I hear a high-pitched screaming Yanny.
See, I hear a normal-voiced person saying Laurel.
Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. Our good friend Kevin Nagandi,
right,
now hosting the 6 O'Clock Sports Center with Sage Steele, retweeted something where this guy broke it down, and he said basically it depends on whether you hear high frequencies or low frequencies.
Okay.
So run this through me here. Here, I think the low frequency is first, and this is if you hear low frequencies, this is what it sounds like to you.
Laurel.
Right?
Laurel.
Okay.
Laurel.
Okay, that's what. But if you hear high frequencies,
Laurel.
Hold on. Did you hear the difference there?
I sure did. And when it was
right?
When it was the high pitch, I heard Yanny.
Right? I think that's what it is. I've never one time heard it say Laurel in that low tone.
Right.
I have always heard the high toned Yanny. Let's play it again. Again, if you hear high frequencies, you're going to hear Yanny every time. If you perceive low frequencies, you're going to hear it more as Laurel. So let's start. If you hear a low frequency and Laurel, and then you'll hear a high frequency Yanny on the back end.
Laurel. 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 Laurel.
That's really wild.
That
pretty
sums
wild.
it up,
Yeah, it
I
does.
think, better than anything else. Because I never heard Laurel. I heard Yanny.
See, all I heard was
Yanny.
Laurel.
See, I never heard it that way. All I heard was Yanny.
So what does that mean? I mean,
no freaking idea.
Yeah.
I'd sit here and talk sports. Now, let me ask the broom, because they were all heard Laurel like you guys.
Right.
Having heard it that way, Brett, because, well, we can't start with you because you'll take all the time for everybody else.
True.
Cliff, we'll start with you. Did you hear Yanny when you heard it that time?
You're lying. Like, you need to stop lying to the United
You
States.
still don't hear Yanny?
Cliff is just sticking with his guns there.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Cliff, for crying out loud! I tried to give you a chance.
Devin?
I did hear Yanny,
You did hear Yanny.
Yeah.
Stanzik?
I've heard Yanny. I've heard Laurel. Laurel more often than not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Allie in there? Allie, did you hear Yanny that time?
Yes, she did. Thumbs up.
Thumbs
she heard
up.
Yanny.
And now
the high pitch was Yanny.
Show killer Brett. Show producer, researcher Brett. Brettomology hero and star. What did you hear Yanny that time?
I've heard it both ways the whole time.
Okay. I have never once heard Laurel until they broke it down in that pitch.
That's interesting.
Then I heard Laurel. But the whole time, I found this nasally Yanny. That's what I heard.
At least there's a scientific reasoning for that. What was the reasoning? Did we ever get it for the dress thing? And obviously, it's something with your eyes and what colors you see, I would imagine.
Yeah.
It's all science, right?
Is it? Well, listen, I'm just happy that our good friend Kevin Nagandi can sort of brought some sort of understanding to this. Because people like Cliff, who is, Cliff's a real problem.
Cliff, for crying out loud!
He's still
What did you say,
on
Brett?
to that.
I was just saying the science on the dress thing is that there's a whole spectrum of colors, and if you can see the first
Just kill his
spectrum,
mic.
then it's
Just
white
kill
and
his
gold.
mic.
Then
Just
if you
kill
can see
his
the
mic.
second,
Thank you, appreciate
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And
we killed your mic.
Stanzik's mad back there because we have had this article, like a 20-page article in front of us
It's
all
on one
morning
page.
long, explains the whole thing. And you know what? Nagandi,
perfectly.
He explained it better in his one tweet
here's the page
than
that
this
Stanzik gave us.
ridiculous article you put in front of us that has a bunch of big words and all these scientific things that nobody wants to read.
You've been asking all day for the answer. It's been in front of you the entire time.
Yes, but
No,
you had
not the
4
way I
hours
want
to read it.
You know what you need to do as a producer? Know your hosts.
Yeah, that's why I took an 8-page article and made it 1 page.
And
highlighted the portion you had to read.
You know what you didn't do is go far enough, my friend.
Yeah. Well, here's what I would say. There are visual learners and there are audio learners.
Yeah.
You could explain it to me that way.
Yeah.
I just said explain, by the way. You could explain it to
Right,
me
right.
100 times, but having heard it that way,
Yeah.
again, one last time. Yanny, you hear in high pitch. Laurel, you hear if you hear low pitches.
Laurel. 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 Laurel.
See, I never
amazing.
heard Laurel until then.
If I had my normal 5 beers during the show, I'd have definitely heard it that way.
Except you had 7, which sort of went off
Took
the
me
rails.
past
Okay,
the point.
we got 20 seconds left. Who you taking tonight, Rockets or Warriors?
Oh, I think Warriors are going to go up 2-0 in this one. We're
listen.
looking to a Warriors-Celtics finals.
We're headed in that direction.
Yes, we are.
I will also go with the Warriors. Hey, coming up on tomorrow, the newest member of our Monday Night Football booth, Jason Witten and Stu Gott, and sadly,
boy.
Cliff will be here.
Cliff, for crying out loud!
Sorry, you're still lying.